Woke culture has claimed another innocent life. One thing that I am so sick of hearing, I mean, you guys know my entire channel is based on, discussing the worst things imaginable, and it's with a main focus on woke culture. And there are a lot of people who say, both to me directly, and I've heard other people say this just on social media, that there are worse things than SJWs. SJWs aren't a problem. What? They're just annoying and believe about this stuff about gender, and they're anti-racist and anti-sexist. They're good people. No, my entire channel debunks that. But we also know that they've caused every single severe problem in our world. If you're going to tell me that woke culture isn't a problem, yet it's because of woke culture that we have every single problem I've ever talked about, including the modern oppression of men and the hate towards white people, the increase in crime, pollution, and every other fucking problem in the modern world. You are just insane and dumb. I've already talked about all this stuff. You guys know the videos. In this video here, I talked about the truth about feminism and male oppression. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Or how about this video, the truth about domestic abuse and homelessness? You might be surprised if you're dumb to find out that the primary affected are men. How about this video, which relates to the video I'm making right now, about a disgusting school that forced their innocent male students to apologize to the female students for rapes against them that the boys didn't commit and the girls didn't receive. That's one way to destroy men, isn't it? How about this video, the truth about the gender war, where I just go down a rabbit hole explaining to you the gender war as a whole. You should check it out if you want to learn something and actually rely on facts for once and not narratives. And most importantly, my video where I helped people who are struggling with suicide, people who have these thoughts, people who are struggling in life and contemplating the worst. We live in a society where these things are encouraged on men. And part of the problem, actually the main part of the problem, is the constant, non-stop, every day, all day, 365 times a year, 24 hours a day, 52 weeks a year, 12 months a year, non-stop, day in and day out for well over 20 years. Telling women that everything they do is perfect. And you know what? In small part, men are to blame. Don't get me wrong. You didn't know that you were to blame, and you didn't do it intentionally either, but I will explain to you why. You see, as I've explained in all those videos I just put on the screen, and I've been trying to explain for over a decade, women, modern Western women, really do believe that they're at fault for nothing. And the reason is because it's just, that's how the brain works. I mean, it's not just women. Males will feel that will act this way too if you treat them the same way as women. If you tell somebody that they're perfect, that you never make any mistakes, you're a perfect person, you're an angel, you're a perfect 10, you're beautiful, you have no flaws whatsoever, and everything wrong you do is okay because somebody must have driven you to that act, and that everything else you do is good. Of course you're going to grow up with no accountability. Of course you're going to grow up with no responsibility. Of course you're going to grow up a complete fucking narcissist. How can you grow up in any other way? These behaviors, when men do them, are the most evil, sexist, horrible things in the world. But when women do it, it's just another Monday morning. Men are told, and boys, teenagers, whatever, are told that everything they do is wrong. When they do something right, it's not applauded because it's just a normal daily expectation. And everything else they do is wrong. Women are told that every single thing they do is right. Well, if you cheated on him, he drove you to it. But if he cheated on you, it's still his fault. Men can't hit you because you're a girl and you're fragile. But you can hit him because it's just playful and funny if you do it. And of course, that logic applies to everything these days. Why do you think women think it's okay to hit men? Because, yes, obviously, woke culture, the modern society, and feminism did tell them it's okay to do that. And if you do, no problem because he's stronger than you, or no problem because it's funny, or no problem because you're a girl. Yes, society did teach girls that, yes. But part of it is because men didn't hit them back, right? When you're a kid and you're being bad, which kids grow up to be horrible rebels? The kids who faced no discipline for their actions. Just like how women grow up to be entitled, think they're perfect, hit men, and do all kinds of horrible things because they were never taught that it's wrong. In fact, not only were they not taught it's wrong, but they were taught it's good. And when they do hit men, they face no consequences when they do, because the men were taught to never hit women. Us men, including me, were taught to never put our hands on a woman because of the reasons you always hear. Women are weak and they're fragile. Men don't hit women, yada, yada, yada. We were taught that. Now, equality, which feminists hate, would have to admit that equality means if you hit me, I hit you. That's called equality. But doesn't change the fact that men were still taught never hit women. But if women were taught they can hit you and you don't hit them back, what happens to anybody's brain over time is that I can do what I want with no consequences coming back to me. You understand? And that's why we see in our society billions of examples of women doing behaviors to men, but they cannot face the exact same behavior. Men can't hit women. Men can't reject women. Women can't rape men. And a laundry list of other things. So men, it's not your fault that we taught women it's okay to hit us with no consequence because we were told we're not allowed to hit back. But in their brain, they see they can hit us, nothing happens in return. Oh, I guess I'm scot-free. This was taught because of what we were taught and society as a whole. But I'm tired of it, and false allegations against men are rampant despite what feminists and SJWs would have you believe. Choose the girl no matter what. That is the mantra for the modern world as a whole. No matter what women say or do or lie about, they're always believed. They always get the privilege just for being women. And they don't face consequences for anything they do, and I just explained the reason why. Would you be surprised if I told you that this story actually happened 3 years ago? Of course not. Because it's against a male, nobody's heard about it. And even though it did happen 3 years ago, this article was written a week ago. Not sure why it took 3 years, other than the fact that the victim was a male, but do I need to say it? You all know that if the victim was a female, this article would be written the minute it happened. But because it's a male, who gives a shit? A New York school suspended a 15-year-old for an allegation of SA without letting him defend himself or even calling his parents. Hours later, he died by suicide. Had I known, had I known, had I known. A phrase that we should be applying to men so we can fucking learn from it, but who cares? That phrase has been agonizingly stuck in Tammy Poirier's head since October 16, 2023. That day, her 15-year-old son, Owen, a star on the local high school soccer team, was kicked out of school by the superintendent and principal for allegedly touching a 16-year-old girl's crotch on a school bus 3 days earlier. All the girl had to do was say it. And now, this shouldn't surprise you. You all know it, okay? Do not watch this video acting, oh my god, I can't believe she did that. When does this ever happen? Every fucking day. All the time. Women are allowed to say whatever they want, any allegation, and it's believed like this. But, of course, if it's a man making the accusation, the burden of proof is suddenly the most important thing, right? I didn't do this. Owen said when his parents arrived at school to pick him up. All they knew was that their son had been accused and suspended that morning, and that he was facing a criminal investigation, all because of the words of a girl. No proof, just her word. Happens all the time. Owen's parents drove him home. In the car, he expressed the fear of letting his soccer team down because he wouldn't be allowed to play in the state championship that week. That afternoon, he took his life. I'm not going to continue reading because I have to pay to do that. And you know what's amazing? Before I move on to a different post, it's amazing that if you type in his name, the only actual article is this one. That's the one I just clicked. The rest of it is an Instagram post, a Reddit post, a YouTube video, a Facebook post. Nothing. There's so little. There is a bit more lower on, but look how much you got to scroll. But of course, if it was a female, the entire thing would be plastered all over Google. It really tells you everything you need to know if you don't already know that. Anyway, we'll take a look at this Facebook post for the remainder of the information. An allegation his family says were completely unproven and rushed to judgment without a proper investigation. The life of a male. The key legal developments and evidence outlined in the ongoing federal case include denial of due process. The Poirier family's 45-page federal lawsuit argues that the school administrators violated New York state law by denying Owen and his parents an informal conference to review evidence or share his perspective before enacting a harsh suspension. But that's the thing we need, that I need to drill into your mind and everybody needs to understand. Because I know what people will say. People are this dumb. That it's just this particular school's fault. In this particular case. No. This is everywhere. For all men, adult, teenager, it doesn't matter. This is common practice. This is built into the modern system against a male. It is systemic, and it is supported and promoted. It is encouraged by feminists and woke culture. This is the norm. It is not just in this one school, in this one state, for this one case. This is built in to the system. Court records reveal that after Owen's passing, the school's superintendent wrote in an email that the district unequivocally found no evidence that a sexual assault had actually happened. Of course, let's not check that until after he's killed himself. School lawyers argue the email is being taken out of context. What? Superintendent Stan M., Principal Krista Ringer, and the district have denied all wrongdoing. Because why take accountability? Explicitly arguing they cannot be held negligent for a tragedy that took place off school grounds.
Wow, what an asshole.
The tragedy began the second you believed the girl for no reason other than the fact that she's a female. Shifting the blame. In recent filings, the school's defense has pointed back toward the grieving parents, arguing the district is not responsible because the family left the visibly distraught teenager working at a family shop shortly before his death. Wow. That is beyond fucked. But again, male victim. Anything to push away the blame. The lawsuit accuses school officials of operating under an anti-male bias. Again, we need to say, this is not just the school. This is society as a whole. The entire Western world. And executing an immediate, life-altering disciplinary sanction in response to perceived public and administrative pressures. What else can be said that hasn't already been said by me a million times? We need to fight for men's rights. And that includes fighting against false allegations. And yes, the answer to the age-old question, should women go to prison for false accusations that would be equal to the amount of time that the boy would go to jail if he was guilty? Yes, she should. The leniency for females, just for being female, and no other reason, no logic, no facts, no statistics, no rare sense, just for being women. This has to end. And fuck you woke SJW feminists for pushing this mindset on society for the last 20 years. Once again, you have won against us normal people and made the world even fucking worse. Rest in peace, Owen. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, so I'm not even going to try. But to Owen, rest in peace. And I'm sorry you had to be a victim of our modern Western culture.